I love it. I love it. I love it. Look at this. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
Hey, what's poppin', my homies? Hope you guys are doing well, doing blessed. Another UFC card to break down. Jamahal Hill taking on Johnny Walker as the main event. You know, I'm looking at this UFC card, guys, and it looks quite difficult to bet on. But yeah, man, we're coming off a nice profitable card with UFC 271. So yeah, guys, I'm going to try to pick my spots nicely on this one. As always, my homies, make sure you smash that like button. Alright, let's jump into breaking this card down. Alright, so starting off this card, we've got Jonathan Pearce taking on Christian Rodriguez. Now, Christian Rodriguez was the guy who fought on the Contender Series, man. I'll be honest, the boxing did look pretty good. You know, it's the speed of the hands. That's what's noticeable with Christian Rodriguez. Now, on the flip side, you've got JSP, Jonathan Pearce. You know, the Octagon name alone tells us I'm not looking to box. I'm not looking to show my speed. You know, JSP, man, he's looking to do that George St. Pierre stuff. And man, he's been pretty good at doing that too. You know, he completely obliterated Kai Kamaka. And then he imposed the same game against Omar Morales, had success in that fight too. So looking at this fight stylistically, you know, you've got two different styles. Both of these guys want to do different things. So that's what you've got to decide here. Am I going to take the wrestler or am I going to take the boxer? For me personally, guys, I'm going to side with Jonathan Pearce. I just think he's too big for Christian Rodriguez. It's quite a tough debut, you know. You get a guy like Jonathan Pearce who can grapple, round in, round out. And that's what Christian Rodriguez basically has to avoid. You know, he's got to stay away from that. But that's what I'm going to go with here. My first prediction is going to be the grappler, Jonathan Pearce, to impose that grappling game. My odds on this one, guys, I'd put Jonathan Pearce around minus 300, 75% chance. Now checking what the bookies have, they've got Jonathan Pearce minus 300, minus 330. So yeah, even the bookies are saying, you know, this is a tough debut for Christian Rodriguez. I took him on the Contender Series, you know, made some nice money in that fight, but this is a tough debut. Alright, moving into a matchup between Gabriel Benitez taking on David Onama. Guys, how much credit do we need to give David Onama for that UFC debut against Mason Jones? You know, there was moments where he was getting cracked by Mason, out-grappled by Mason. But there was many moments where David was cracking Mason. I think the main thing we took from the debut of David Onama, this guy's hungry. And even if you're slightly outclassing him, you know, he's staying in the fight. And to be honest with you guys, I think if David Onama lands those same punches on Gabriel Benitez that he landed on Mason Jones, I'm not too sure Gabriel Benitez is going to take that. Now, the one thing I do like in the game of Gabriel Benitez, this guy's a really good kicker. So if he can start firing the kicks against David Onama, have some success there, maybe he can, you know, put on a veteran performance. But yeah, this is a good scrap. I like what I see from David Onama in the UFC debut. And simply for those reasons, I'm going to take David Onama to beat the veteran Gabriel Benitez. Now, I would line it pretty close because I think David Onama still has to fight a good fight. And that's potentially, you know, turning it into a dogfight. Because Gabriel Benitez is going to try stay on the outside, going to try to stay technical, look to outclass David Onama, use the experience. And that's where David Onama has to say, look, I'm going to get on the inside, I'm going to land my shots. And if it needs to be ugly like it was in the UFC debut, we're going to make it ugly. So yeah, man, on this one, I'm slightly leaning towards the newcomer in mixed martial arts. Having said all of that, I'd still keep the line pretty close. I'd put David Onama around minus 130. And you've got David Onama minus 160, minus 170. So even the bookies are like, you know what, this guy lost the UFC debut, but looking pretty good. Yeah, it's a good scrap. Looking forward to this one. Alright guys, looking at the matchup between Jessica Rose Clark taking on Stephanie Egger. Now this is a good matchup because if you look at Jessica Rose Clark in her last fight, she used a lot of grappling. You know, she crashed into the clinch against Jocelyn Edwards, took the fight to the mat. Now it's interesting because if you do that against Stephanie Egger, you're potentially putting yourself in her type of game. Stephanie Egger's a grappler. You know, she's got some judo, she's trying to throw you to the mat. And then she's basically looking to beat you with top control. Looking at Stephanie Egger in her last fight, you know, the top control looks strong against Shana Young. Now I know it's Shana Young, you know, she's not a great fighter. The top controls still look good. Now if I'm looking at who's the better striker between Jessica Rose Clark and Stephanie Egger, all day I'm leaning towards Jessica Rose Clark. And that's just down to experience, you know, she's been in the sport for a long time. So if this matchup stays in the kickboxing setting, I favour Jessica Rose Clark. I'm not saying that Stephanie Egger's going to out-grapple Jessica Rose Clark. I'm just saying that would be the best way for Stephanie Egger to win this fight. My prediction on this one, guys, I'm going to side with Jessica Rose Clark. I like what she's been doing recently, you know, she's run into a nice bit of form. You know, guys, I say it multiple times and I'm going to say it again. It's always going to come down to who can fight their fight. If Jessica Rose Clark had to fight the perfect fight, you're probably not going to grapple. You know, ultimately, you're taking Stephanie Egger out of what she wants to do. She wants to grapple. Okay, so let's make it a striking battle. And if you make it a striking battle, you know, you might have some nice moments against Stephanie Egger. So yeah, that's the angle that I'm leaning on here. I think Jessica Rose Clark has good experience. My numbers on this fight, I'd price Jessica around -170. And you've got Jessica Rose Clark -200. Wow. Alright, we've got a matchup between Diana Belbita taking on Gloria de Paula. Now, both of these girls are kickboxers. If you're looking at what's happened to Gloria de Paula so far in the UFC, she was out-grappled in her UFC debut, which is what you do to a Muay Thai fighter. You know, the Muay Thai fighter wants to use these striking techniques, and all you do is just wrestle, you know, take the Muay Thai fighter to the mat. And that's what happened in her UFC debut. Now, against Cheyenne Vlismas, she was taken to the mat. But on the way up, you know, this is what happened. You know, so she kind of got a little bit obliterated on that one, you know, tried to get back to her feet and then boom, psych. You know, you're not getting back to your feet. I'm going to kick you on the way up. A little bit dirty, but yeah, that's what happened, man. Totally obliterated. Now, Diana Belbita on the flip side, she's been grappled a little bit in the UFC. Looking at her last fight, though, it's clear to see when this girl can strike, she's showing her ability, you know, she's a decent kickboxer. So stylistically, you've got two kickboxers who probably want to use their techniques, you know, they want to kickbox. So I don't think there's going to be much grappling in this fight. You know, ultimately, what this one may come down to is just picking who's the better kickboxer. If you're going to get mainly a kickboxing fight, just pick the better kickboxer, you know what I'm saying? I would say Diana Belbita is the better kickboxer, the more proven kickboxer. So that's the prediction I'm going to go with. I'm going to take Diana Belbita to get the better of Gloria de Paula in the kickboxing battle. I would still keep the line pretty close though. And the bookies have the same idea. Both of these girls -110. Makes a lot of sense. You know, if both of these girls kickbox, who's the better kickboxer, who's going to win that fight? I'm leaning slightly towards Diana Belbita. Alright guys, looking at the matchup between Jesse Strader taking on Chad Anheliger. You know, this one's kind of 50-50 too. I think Jesse Strader is like a dog. When you're looking at Chad, the cardio on the Contender Series, you know, the cardio alone won him that fight. He was against a pretty decent guy in Gafarov, and he was a big underdog, man. And just the cardio, the willing to go to the deep waters, you know what I'm saying? That's what Chad done in that matchup, and he might do that in this fight. Now, if Jesse Strader does win this matchup, lands a clean shot or something along those lines, I wouldn't be shocked. You know, Chad's 35 years old. You know, anyone can win this matchup. If you put a gun to my head though, and I had to be right to save my life, I would side with Chad showing the cardio again. You know, even if he loses round 1, maybe battles back in round 2, just goes further than Jesse Strader. And I think Chad is training with Hakeem Dawodu. You know, get some Muay Thai sparring in with Hakeem, you know, that's a good training partner. So yeah guys, I'm not super confident, but I'm going to side with Chad to just show the cardio. More output, more to offer, maybe take down the opponent. I'd put him around -150. And the bookies have Chad -250. Alright guys, we've got a matchup between Skelly taking on Mark Striegl. Man, to be honest with you guys, I kind of think this one's a 50-50 matchup too. We know what Skelly likes to do. You know, he's a scrapper. And that's his octagon name too, it's the Scrapper. And the reasons why it's the Scrapper, imagine a scrappy fighter, that's That's Skelly. You know, he's not pleasing to watch on the feet. He will take the shots and then he'll try to initiate the grappling. And that's really where Skelly excels inside the octagon. It's when he's using that jiu-jitsu. Now the problem, guys, Mark Striegl isn't exactly a bad grappler. He hasn't proven his grappling against really good opposition, but still not a bad grappler. And that's where this one's quite a tricky prediction to make, because if Skelly does try to grapple Striegl, you know, a lot of people might say, yeah, he's going to get the better of the grappling, but I'm not too sure he will. You know, I'm not 100% sure that Skelly's gonna out grapple Striegl. Now, if you put a gun to my head and said, pick the better grappler, pick the more proven grappler, I would still say it's Skelly. But you do have to factor in the striking. You know, Striegl is a good striker, so if he can get the kicks going early, maybe he can slow down Skelly. And you also have to factor in Skelly hasn't been super active. So yeah, when I'm looking at the striking of this matchup, I think Mark Striegl might prove to be effective there. You know, against a guy in Skelly who's quite hittable, quite stationary, Mark Striegl might get the kicks going. So yeah, guys, I'm kind of leaning towards Mark Striegl in this matchup. I'm not super confident in that prediction. You know, it is a difficult fight to predict. I'd keep the odds pretty close, you know, Mark Striegl -120, -110. And the bookies have Mark Striegl +180, +170. So yeah, that's a live underdog in my opinion. Alright, my homies, it's time for a smoke break, man. Let's go. Shout out to everyone in the chat right now. This is probably premiering. Shout out to you guys. You are OGs. Guys, this is a UFC channel, man, so I should probably be discussing like Israel Adesanya, Whitaker, like that main event, something along those lines. And I love to discuss fights, man. Anytime someone leaves a comment, man, I'm gonna respond. But guys, the smoke break question is not to do with the UFC, man. I'm gonna keep it weird. Last week I asked you guys about Area 51. The week before that I was asking you guys about the moon. You know, did we go to the moon? This week I want to ask you guys about artificial intelligence. It's not really a question, it's more, you know, how do you guys feel about the speed that AI is evolving at? You know, AI is getting better and better week by week, month by month. You know, AI, man, it's kind of scary, you know. And just to give you guys like a, you know, an up-to-date run-in of how advanced AI is getting. Elon Musk has a thing coming out called Neuralink. I saw this like a couple years ago, but yeah, this is still coming out. It's called Neuralink. And basically this is a chip that goes inside your skull. And you can upload your brain, you can upload your consciousness to a computer. You know, so ultimately, man, if your body dies, you could realistically live on a computer. Your mind could still be alive. You know, that's the rate that AI is evolving at. And I just want to know your guys' thoughts, you know. Are you scared of it? I'm kind of scared of it. So yeah, guys, go to the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on artificial intelligence. Spark up. Shout out to Elon Musk trying to take us to Mars. Guys are G. Alright guys, my Patreon. If you want all of my bets on this UFC card, be sure to sign up on the Patreon. And also join my Discord group too. Hey guys, massive shout out to all of my people in my Discord. Taito Ivaza won the fight. There was a bunch of shoeys. And it was hilarious, man. Oh my goodness. One bro did it out of a boot. Man, and someone left a comment like, man, doing the shoey out the boot is pretty legit. The boot can hold a lot of beer. And one bro was like, hey, F Taito Ivaza, but here's the shoey. So I'm assuming that bro bet on Derek Lewis. But still, man, even Panda with the shoey too. The shoey V2, you know, that's the second shoey for Panda. And I know most people right now are like, what is this guy talking about? But my Discord people, you know what's up. Alright guys, let's break down this main card. Alright guys, looking at the matchup between Buckley taking on Abdul Razak Alhassan. Now man, to be honest, both of these guys completely dusted the opponent in their last matchup. You know, you look at the way Buckley did it. You know, a beautiful hook into an uppercut, really nice work. You look at the way Abdul Razak Alhassan did it, the head kick. You know, so that kind of shows us both of these guys are gonna try to go for that knockout, and it might not leave round one. Now guys, if it does leave round one, I think the fight might favour Buckley, and that's purely because if you look at his last fight, you know, he got that knockout late. You know, I think it's a 50-50 matchup. Whoever lands first, that's gonna be the winner. Buckley can knock you dead. Alhassan can knock you dead. Who's gonna knock who dead? You know, it's a good matchup. If you bet on Buckley, you know, you just got to hope to be first. If you bet on Alhassan, you're hoping it's round one. Because if it leaves round one, that's where you think Alhassan maybe fatigues. And that's where Buckley becomes maybe live for that KO. You know, it's a good one. I'm going to side with Buckley on this one, but there's no way I'm betting this fight. No way. I'd keep the odds pretty close. Buckley minus 130, Alhassan plus 100. And the bookies say Buckley minus 150, Alhassan plus 120. Yeah, I think the betting line's pretty much in the ballpark. You know, both of these guys are going to be live for that TKO in round one. And that's why it's a good matchup. Alright, looking at the matchup between Jim Miller taking on Nikolas Motta. I'm going to spark up for Jim Miller because he's an OG. And that's what you do when the OGs fight, man. You got to spark up. Pay your respect. Now, I paid my respect, man, but I'm going against Jim Miller on this one. My prediction's Nikolas Motta. I know Jim Miller has the grappling advantage, you know, the experience advantage. The guy's a veteran. He's been around. He knows how to do it all. But when we're looking at the disadvantages Jim Miller has, the cardio. He's a one-round fighter at this point. Now, I know the finish came in round 2 against Eric Gonzalez, but maybe that's because he was hurting Eric in round 1. I don't think Jim Miller's going to be hurting Nikolas Motta from a striking standpoint. He was able to do that against Eric Gonzalez. I don't think that's going to happen this time. If Jim Miller wants to win this fight, he's got to submit Nikolas Motta in round 1. You know, he's going to try to grapple outside of round 1 if he doesn't get that submission. But I think Nikolas Motta at 29 years old, a bit more experience under his belt at this point. You know, the boxing looks so sharp. You know, he was boxing up the opponent, Joseph Lowry, broke his nose. You know, his face looked like something you'd see in the Saw movie. So yeah, I don't think Jim Miller's going to take anywhere near the same damage Joseph Lowry took. If Nikolas Motta's landing, you know, I think he's going to break Jim Miller. So ultimately, I think this matchup's going to be, if Jim Miller wins the fight, it has to happen round 1 with the grappling. And if Jim Miller can't get that grappling going, you know, he's left to strike against this guy. Good chance he gets knocked out. My prediction, I'm going to take Nikolas Motta to completely dust Jim Miller. And I'm going to spark up again for Jim, man, because he's an OG. But this time he's getting smoked. You know what I'm saying? I'd price Nikolas Motta around minus 200. And you've got Nikolas Motta minus 160 up to minus 170. You know, that's a pretty good price. I know the opponent's the OG. You know, he's got all the experience, but yeah, I just think this one's Nikolas Motta. Alright, looking at the matchup between Parker Porter taking on Alan Baudot. Guys, my prediction on this one, I'm going to take Parker Porter. No, oh my goodness. I mean, he is Porky, man. You know, Porky Parker Porter, you know. I'm going to take that prediction. That's what I'm going with here. The reasons why I'm going to do that, Alan Baudot, I'm not sure he's UFC caliber. You know, Parker Porter is, he's a porky boy, but the low kicks are pretty good and the boxing's pretty good. So yeah, that's going to be my prediction on this one. Alan Baudot potentially going to get cut. You know, the only way I see Parker Porter losing this fight is just gassing out. But I think he's going to fold Alan Baudot, you know, dust him. So yeah, that's going to be my prediction. And I'll put him around minus 200. And you've got Parker Porter minus 250. So the bookies are saying, look, if you want to play Porky boy, minus 250. Alright guys, looking at the matchup between Kyle Daukaus taking on Jamie Pickett. Now Jamie Pickett, man, he has put together 2 wins in a row. You know, he beat Staropoli and then he beat Joseph Holmes. So man, you got to give Jamie Pickett a little bit of credit, you know. Not the best fighter, but he is on a decent win streak. Now looking at what he might have to do to beat Kyle Daukaus, I think Jamie Pickett doesn't have good cardio, so potentially has to finish this fight early to beat Kyle Daukaus. And I know when you look at the record of Kyle Daukaus, he's got losses to Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen's a much better grappler than Jamie Pickett. And then he's got a loss to Phil Hawes. Again, Phil Hawes just way more power. Again, better top control, just all round better fighter. Looking at Kyle Daukaus against Kevin Holland, you know, he was grappling pretty well in that fight up until that headbutt. And then even with the headbutt, you know, got the finish. You know, this matchup might look pretty close early on, but I think as the fight ticks on into round 2, round 3, that's where I think Kyle Daukaus is kind of going to show us I've got more to offer. You know, Jamie Pickett, I took him against Joseph Holmes. And even in round 2, you know, Holmes was tired and Jamie Pickett too cautious. I know he went on to win the fight, but man, I just think Kyle Daukaus, too much to offer. Better grappling. Probably submits Jamie Pickett in this fight. Maybe a little bit harsh, but I'd price Kyle Daukaus like minus 250. And you've got Kyle Daukaus minus 200, minus 220 up to minus 240. So yeah, you are getting plus money on Jamie Pickett. It cashed in his last fight. I don't think it's going to cash again. I've got Kyle Daukaus. Alright my homies, main event, Johnny Walker taking on Jamahal Hill. If you've enjoyed my breakdown, be sure to Hamzat smash the subscribe button. Alright, we've got Johnny Walker taking on Jamahal Hill. Now, we know who Johnny Walker is. And for anybody that's new to mixed martial arts, you don't know who Johnny Walker is, I'm going to show you some clips of what Johnny Walker likes to do. This guy's pretty crazy. You know, Muay Thai elbows, spinning attacks, jumping attacks. Johnny Walker can knock you out. Now looking at the losses of Johnny Walker. Against Nikita Krylov, it was because he was grappled. Against Corey Anderson, it's because Johnny Walker kinda has a glass chin. It's a little bit dusty, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, Johnny Walker, man, if you can connect with the chin, the glass chin, you can break it. You can turn it to dust. It's already dust. It's just waiting to be dusted, you know what I'm saying? If you look at his last fight against Thiago Santos, you know, super composed in this fight. And that's mainly because if Thiago Santos connects, Johnny Walker knows what's going to happen. And that might be the case against Jamahal Hill, because when you look at the work of Jamahal Hill, the body of work, you know, this guy's a brilliant striker. You know, a lot of people went against him with Jimmy Crute. It was super early too, you know, you look at Jimmy Crute looking to use pressure early, looking to make it an ugly fight straight out the gate. But Jamahal Hill showing that crisp boxing. Now if Johnny Walker makes a mistake, Jamahal Hill is going to put him away. So Johnny Walker's probably going to try to respect the opponent a little bit. Maybe be more active than what he was against Thiago. But I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. I don't think he's going to overcommit against Jamahal Hill. You know, he's looking for those flashy knockouts against Justin Ledet, Misha Serkinov. But I think at this level against Jamahal Hill, you know, you've got to try to play the game smarter. And that's what Johnny Walker tried to do against Thiago. But even if Johnny Walker tries to play smarter, I think Jamahal Hill's gonna catch him at some point. My prediction on this fight, guys, I'm gonna side with Jamahal Hill. I think he's technically cleaner, whereas Johnny Walker's like a madman. And I'd price him around, you know, minus 250. And the bookies have minus 275 up to minus 300. So yeah, big fade on Johnny Walker from the bookies. Obviously, Johnny Walker does have the ability to knock you out. You know, he is a crazy guy. But my prediction, guys, I'm going to side with the technically better fighter. And that's Jamahal Hill. Alright my homies, be sure to drop down your underdogs, your main event predictions, parlays, all of that good stuff in the comment section below. Keep your eyes to the sky, never glued to your shoes. Mac Miller. Alright. Peace.